member, and I would like to talk about recovery, because as a family member, recovery, and also I have helped people for 3 years as an advocacy person in NAMI. It's a journey. And what I'm experiencing here is a huge disconnect, because our family members may take more than 11 years to get to recovery, if that. And I would like to know how the Tree Stay model is going to deal with people who don't recover and who are always in psychosis, who have delusions even though they are seemingly cognitive okay, who want to assault someone, or they're totally disconnected. And because these are complicated illnesses and the brain is very complicated, I'm wondering why I don't see psychiatrists here. Have you consulted psychiatrists? It's a medical issue. And we all love to see this wonderful, happy condition where we can show compassion and love. Nobody wants that more than families. But to get there is the problem. And I haven't heard how we're going to do it with trees. And let me also say, excuse me to say this, but disability rights can only come to those who have recovered. It makes no sense to take mentally incapacitated people and tell them they have the right not to take treatment, because those people do not know they're ill and they don't want to take their medication. And none of this is being discussed today, and it's really disconcerting to all of us who are families. Back in the 70s, when the asylums were closed, nobody did a study to understand what's going to happen when all the people are released from these asylums and they're gone into the streets and there's not enough money to support them. And we are in this crisis today because of that. And so before we move forward with this tra-la-la happy idea of compassion and all of that, which nobody more than a family would want, please, let's stop and think about the fact that this is a medical issue and recovery is a journey. And for some people, it doesn't take. And the other thing is that mental illness is not one thing. It's a spectrum. There are people here who may have depression. They have a 80% recovery rate. People with thought and mood disorder may have a 30% recovery rate. These are things, I don't know how Tristas handle them. I would like to hear more about that. And I didn't read that 60-page document, but maybe you can talk about how Tree's model is going to work with that. Thank you.
So you raised some really deep issues. By the way, I didn't catch your name.
Ellie Staubach.
Ellie?
Yes.
I guess I would start off by saying that, as you say, there's a spectrum of disability. Okay, that some people are extremely disabled, some people are less disabled. But in my own experience, when I've tried to predict who will recover and who will not, I found that I was not a very good predictor about, who could actually recover. There were some people that I thought, this person will never have a life out in the community, and they proved me wrong, okay? And I guess even more fundamentally than that is that I feel like the people that you're talking about are, to a large extent, exiles from our community. Is that they have been exiled to places like prisons or institutions or hospitals because we don't know how to serve them out in the community in a way that addresses the safety concerns that I'm sure you have and that the community has, while also addressing the needs that they have for as full a life in the community as possible. And so what I'll say in response is that I think we can do much better of a job of addressing both of those needs. Can we ensure that everyone can live safely and productively out in the community? Probably not. But I think that we can do a lot better job than we're doing now by finding what connects with people and what actually addresses where they want to be and what they want to do out in the community in a way that keeps them safe and keeps the community safe, but also addresses their needs for community inclusion. Because our way of dealing with those folks is basically say, you are exiled and we are going to put you in prison, or we're going to put you in an institution or something like that. And I think that we can do a better job with that. And I think that for some of us, that was one of the things that was inspiring to me about Trieste. I went over there just this last December for a week, and there's virtually no homelessness. Okay, and I can't, well, how do they manage that? And as Carrie was mentioning, they've almost virtually eliminated involuntary hospitalization. When people need to be hospitalized, they ask for it. Now, I'm not saying that we can get there. I think that the culture has a lot to do with that, and as Carrie was saying, the family values over there to some extent, it's a tighter community kind of thing. But I think that we can do a much better job of figuring out what it is that people need. As Anthony was saying earlier, when somebody's in a crisis, all we have is the hospital. Okay, what other alternatives can we get? Right, exactly. So what are the creative alternatives that we can come up with instead of that? Now, if you read the proposal, I know 60 pages is a lot. It's actually 65. Okay, it's a lot. But one of the things that we talk about is expanding the emergent services and crisis services. So we're suggesting a peer respite bed. Okay, 10 beds there. Urgent care center. Okay. And a crisis residential center, so that people have a place to go other than a hospital. It's much more welcoming and inviting. Would you rather go to a nice 10-bed crisis residential program where you have your own room, or you share the room with one other person, than going into the hospital? Well, my point is that we're going to offer these other kinds of services to try to address that. And then even more importantly, sorry, I know I'm going on, but even more importantly than that, is that you give people a life in the community that they want to go back to. So our folks are characterized by having no belonging and no purpose. And so we got to create services, and Jason, I don't know where Jason went, but he was sitting right here. He was talking about having a friend. So we need to create services where people have friendships and belonging and meaningful roles in life, because no matter how great the crisis system is, unless people have something meaningful to go back to, it's not going to make that much of a difference. Okay?